Sometimes in life we just suffer. Sometimes it's from being totally withdrawn, or so much stress that we are totally anxious, or so tired that we are totally burnt out. But our current position is not our final destination. No, indeed. There's hope. So whether it's your personal life, your career, your relationship, your business, or your job, we say there's reason to believe again. And we present from Andy's personal development, the breakout room. It's the place for health, happiness, and prosperity. Stay tuned for more. Hey, so this is Andy of Andy's Personal Development, and we are now live in the breakout room with our special guest, Agi Keramidas. And he's here to share some wonderful information about his life, his authorship, and the many wonderful things he's doing. So let me just give you a brief synopsis. He is a knowledge broker, mentor, author, and host of Personal Development Mastery podcasts. He's also one of the persons whose podcast is ranked in the top 1.5% in the world. He says, when I turned 40, I found myself having lost my passion for my job as a dentist and feeling unfulfilled and directionless. This led me to midlife awakening and a personal development journey to rediscover my purpose. But now it's not about me. What I can tell you is about what Agi can say about himself. So let's welcome our guest, Agi Keramidas, to the program. Welcome, Agi. How are you today?
Thank you very much for the invitation, Andy. I'm wonderful. Thank you. And I'm excited to be here.
Wonderful to have you. And we are looking forward to this amazing conversation. Agi, we want you to tell us, as a young man growing up, you are of Greek origin. Am I correct?
That's right. Yes.
That's right. So how was it growing up for you? Say probably how far back you can remember, maybe the age of 7 or 8, the foundational years of your life. How was it for you? How much can you recall, Agi?
So yeah, that's interesting starting from that way back. So yes, I did grow up in Greece, my home country. I think at that age, around 7 was, a couple of years after I had started school. So one thing that I will probably go a couple of years more, maybe around 9, which I remember
Yeah,
something that is probably more relevant also,
yeah.
that I discovered a very a desire and a liking, to computers, games. At that time, it was, games, and it was the ancient computers of the 80s. But yeah, I found myself very much drawn into that and absorbed into that, and less in, sports or playing out. But generally, I had a happy childhood. I mean, it was all all nice, and I carried on. I'll move a little bit forward now, since you
Sure,
started
sure.
me at the childhood. Because there is one element, when I was 17, it was the time to decide what kind of career that I would pursue. That was the
Yeah.
normal thing. You would submit an application to different universities and so on. So I found myself wondering at that very young and immature age. I mean, I, I had no clue what I wanted to do with my life at that time,
Right.
but I had to make a decision. So because my mom was a dentist and she had followed that career for successfully for many years, she persuaded me to go into dental school myself, because it was, a good job, secure job, respectable, earning good money, and so on. So at that time, I didn't have any deep desire to become a dentist, but I was quite influenced and went to dental school, which became my profession. So that's I think any important part of my story, because it shaped in many ways what life I led and what I did, and then moving to the UK from
Yeah,
Greece.
yeah. So,
Uh,
thank you for sharing, Aggie. We appreciate it. How was the transition from Greece to UK? Was it difficult for you, and what challenges did you encounter as a result?
I will say, Adi, I like this question very much. I will say it
Yeah.
was not difficult for
Uh-huh.
me, and I have a good reason for that. It's not like everything was like a red carpet for me to step on. There were challenges,
Yeah.
lots of them, and there were frustrations and so on. But I didn't find any difficulty because I chose to focus on everything that I liked about this new country that I was in. So
Okay.
when I took the decision to leave Greece and go to the UK, I knew that there would be some things that I would miss naturally because I'm not in my home country anymore.
Yes.
But
Yes.
there would be other things that I really admired in that new country, UK, that I would be experiencing. So I chose at all times to focus on the what I really resonated, the reasons why I was in this country, everything that was around me that I appreciated, rather than focusing on, I miss my friends, or this, if I was in Greece, I could ask this person to help me now on my own. I mean, I never focused on these
Yeah.
things. I faced them, of course, but I mean, I didn't focus my attention saying, oh, this is difficult. So that's why I'm answering your question in such a way. I
Yes.
mean, I had challenges, but I never saw that this is difficult. I adjusted very quickly because of that particular thing.
Yeah. Thank you, Aggie. I want to get a little bit more personal and ask you, is Aggie short for something? And if not, what does it mean? Does it carry a meaning?
So, wow, yes, Agi is short for something.
Uh-huh.
My full name, and I will say it in Greek, um, and you will understand why I changed it once I say it. So, my full name, as it's pronounced in Greek, is Agathoklis. So
Oh,
for most English-speaking people, that's unpronounceable. So even if I said it Agathocles, which was a little bit more, still, it was a very exotic name.
yeah,
So
yeah,
Agi is quite a short, easy. Yeah, more easy. I think it is
yeah,
easy.
easier.
To
All right.
answer your question about what it means,
Yes.
Agathocles means it has to do with someone being kind at
Yeah.
heart, I mean, kind, but kind to the point of even being taken advantage of because of the
Oh,
kindness. So,
oh, oh.
giving that maybe to a point of being gullible at some point, or being easier to take advantage of because of that. So that's kind of a very loose translation. It has to
Mm-hmm,
do with kindness, but
mm-hmm.
in a way of maybe too too much of that, or without considering some
Okay.
things.
All right. So thank you for sharing. I appreciate that, Aggie. You are considered as a knowledge broker.
Mm.
Many people are not familiar with that term. Could you just share briefly what it means when someone calls you a knowledge broker?
Sure. Thank you for the question. It's a great question, and I will give you, Andy, my own
Sure,
interpretation, because it's
sure.
not I did not invent the
Yeah,
term. So my interpretation and what I represent by being a knowledge broker is, look, we live the times that we live in is the times that we've never had more access to information. Literally, we're drowning in information. It's all
yeah,
around us, but at the
yeah.
same time, we start for wisdom. The information is all out there, but most people are not wiser than they were before. If anything, they might be even overwhelmed because there is so much out there, and it's difficult to even pay attention to something long enough to understand it.
Yes.
So, as a knowledge broker, personally, what I endeavor to do is to convert or distill, if you want, that information, that plethora of information, and distill it down into, I like the word wisdom in this case,
Right.
but another word I would use would be insight, something actionable, something that, if I give you and say, Andy, here is something you could do, and you say, okay, makes sense, I will do it. It's as simple as that, rather than tell you, Andy, you'll go to these 10 websites and you will read this and read these 5 books
Yeah.
in order to get, some kind of a practical benefit out of all of
Yes.
this. And I'm not talking of, reading for the sake of enhancing your theoretical
Mhm.
understanding. In
Yeah.
personal development, I'm sure you will agree with me. It's all about doing. It is
Yeah.
actually the practical elements, not the
Yes.
theoretical concept. So I don't know if that gives you a better understanding of how I see my role as a knowledge broker is to really distill and give practical, actionable insights or wisdom to my audience that they can implement, they can do something with it.
Yeah. Thank you, Aggie. I appreciate it. I get the understanding. And something is telling me that it has a connection to do with the line of philosophy that you have to be familiar with. I'm talking about Socrates, Aristotle, and
Mm.
Plato. And I have a quotation here from you
Mhm.
in your information, and it says, it's not about knowledge. We are drowning in information. It's the transformation that I want to inspire.
Mm.
Wow, that is deep, Aggie. And so when you say that, how do you intend to put that in a formulative manner? We'll get to the book in a while, but I mean, in terms of how you intend to get it over to people so that it becomes effective and they could actually glean something from it. Because I know that you understand the process of transformation and it's more about doing than anything else. How do you get them to go to that place?
Great question. And yeah, that's the only thing that I can't do is do it for them.
For them.
That is
Yes. Yes.
impossible. It is the
Yes.
nature of no one
Yeah.
can walk your path. They can only show you the
Yeah.
way. The path is for you to walk on.
That's
So
right.
I think to answer your question, or what there are two elements that I think that are relevant in this particular round. The first one is to resonate, first of all, because there are many concepts, there are different paths or modalities or whatever you want to call them. Not
Mhm.
everything is for everyone. So for
That's
me, the
right.
first ingredient, very important one, is for, so if I'm sharing something that I'm hoping that will ignite transformation in one person, so that one person first of all would need to have some resonance with it, align with it, say, aha, yeah, yeah, makes sense. So that's the first element. The second element would be to inspire someone enough to actually take the first step of the action, because the action, none of these actions is an one-off action, so you can't just do it once. There is no such thing of doing one action once
It's
and then
continuous.
reaping the results forever. It is an ongoing thing. It is
Ongoing. Yeah.
routines. It is
Yeah.
what builds up our day. It's a series of actions, a series of routines. So the transformation will not happen momentarily. Will happen because you've built a new habit, a new routine, and you're doing things in a different way. You think things in a different manner. You take different decisions. So the transformation happens like this. It's not a magic button that you press and you transform.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
yeah, it is, being inspired when you listen to the message, inspired and also given clearly something action, an actionable small step or an actionable next step. So I think if one gets all these elements, then the transformation will follow if they carry through with the action.
yeah. Okay, so I understand what you're sharing, Aggie. And I think that what it means is that people have to become invested in the process, trust the process, believe the process, and anticipate the result that they're seeking for at the end. Am I right? Is that the way that you want them to? Yeah. So I'm gonna continue with the philosophy a bit. And there is a quotation that you have here. It says, the greater danger for most of us lies in not setting our own aim too high and falling short, but in setting our aim too low and not achieving our
And
mark.
that's achieving our mark.
And achieving our mark.
Mm.
Michael Angelo. I love it. What is the main message you want folks to get from that quotation, Agi?
That's one of my favorite. If I had to pick like the best or the top three, that would certainly be one of them. And
Right.
what I get from it is that most people,
Mhm.
unfortunately, they
Mhm.
don't aim high because they fear that they won't succeed. So what's the point in trying anyway? So they aim for something that is comfortable, something that is more predictable, something that is easily achievable, and
Yeah.
they get it. They achieve it, and then they remain at that mediocre level,
Yeah.
whereas they had the potential, most likely, I'm not saying certainly, but most likely they had the potential to go above that. But the thing is, and that's the really the power that this quote has, that it's better to aim higher, and maybe
Mhm.
you won't achieve that, but whatever you achieve will be more than setting a very safe, secure aim and say, I'm certainly going to hit that.
Uh-huh.
I think there is much more in us to experience and achieve and live in our life than
Yeah.
aiming for the, I'll use the word mediocrity. I think it
Yes.
is a word
Yeah.
that really describes what that lower aim is that people achieve, and then they feel unfulfilled even though they have achieved it.
Yes. Yes. That's right. It reminds me of a quotation I got from Frank Gianmanco. He's the author of Lord of the Wood. And he said to me, he sees most people as someone who tries to swim across a lake, gets halfway there, and then says, nah, me swim across this lake. I don't think I can do it.
Mm.
How can I possibly think about swimming across this lake? But the fact of the matter, Aggie, is that you're already halfway there. Aim higher and try to get to the other side because you're already halfway there. So I'm getting the philosophy and I love it. Thank you for sharing, Aggie. I want to know what led you. You were going to say something?
Yeah, that even many people, they go even further than halfway. They can go
Ah,
to 80% and
yeah,
90% and
yeah.
still quit because they haven't, because we tend many times, rather than looking at how much we have achieved, which in
Uh-huh.
this case is that like 90%, but instead of celebrating that 90% we've achieved, we focus on that 10% we haven't achieved yet, and we let that bring us down, and then we quit and we say, well, I can't, nothing, it doesn't work for me.
Yeah.
but you have done 90%.
Yes.
So it is certainly a journey, and it needs perseverance and for sure. So yeah, I wanted to add that
Yeah.
how you say it.
Yeah. I appreciate that, Aggie, and I support that. We need to definitely aim for more. So I want to share something with you, Aggie. And as you can see here,
Hmm, I know this.
he says he noticed. I want you to tell us what inspired you to come up with 88 actionable insights for life. I'm going to stop sharing for now. What
This
inspired
is, let me, I have it here by the way. So you
you? Yeah.
saw the digital version, I have the book. What inspired me to write the book, you mean, or the title of the book?
No, not the title, to write it, to
To
produce
write it.
the content.
I wanted, it's an excellent question. I wanted to write a book for a while,
Uh-huh.
but I was never, clear on what to write about. And because of my own podcast, Personal Development Mastery, which I have done over 200 interviews, at some point the idea dawned to me that I have topics that my guests, experts in their fields, have really discussed and shared insights and actionable steps, very powerful. All I need to do is compile that into a way, and that goes back to what you were asking me earlier about the knowledge broker, to
Yeah.
take all those 300 podcast episodes.
Yes.
How can you put that into a book which has practical insights? It's not, theory.
Yeah.
It is practically, you can do this, do this. There are 88 things to choose from, where if they resonate, you will, and you implement. That's what's going to change, improve what you're doing there. So the inspiration came to me, it came to me like inspiration comes, Andy. I think there was, I think it was literally one day that it
Uh-huh.
dawned to me, that's the book I can write about. So it was like given to me, if you want,
Uh-huh.
or assigned to me. I like
Uh-huh.
that phrase. So then it was, up to me to fulfill my duty, so that's how it was in many senses. It was like a, yeah, what I said, given to me or assigned to me.
Yeah.
So that's how and then I worked on it, and it started going quite fast actually, because I
Okay.
was inspired.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you for sharing, Aggie. I'm going to share something with you now, and I would pause for comments on it.
Mhm.
And you can just tell us the inspiration behind this as well. It took me many years to realize that personal development and self mastery are a journey, not a destination. And even though I've been on the path of personal growth since I can remember, I only became conscious of it in 2015. And at that time, my life from the outside seemed admirable by society standards, at least. However, inside of me, I felt confused, unmotivated, and unfulfilled. This led me to a journey of self exploration and personal development. Why am I here? What is my purpose? What's most important to me in my life? What does success mean to me? What does fulfillment mean to me? Questions like this probed deep into my psyche in search for answers. Yeah, yeah.
I had forgotten about this. Thanks for the reminder.
So I'm just reminding you, Aggie,
Yes.
tell us about that inspiration. It sounded very passionate.
It was because that was really that time that I feel in a way that I woke up.
Mm.
into, a more aware
Yes.
life, being
Yeah.
becoming more aware of who I am and what
Mhm.
is all this that I'm experiencing. So that was when I started my personal development journey, my self exploration journey, and of course that really changed both my career wise with the podcast and so on, but also, and the most important is the person that I have become as a result of this constant
Yeah.
journey of personal I call the podcast personal development mastery. Sometimes I joke that when I named the podcast 4 years ago, I thought it was a cool name to have. I thought it sounds cool, personal development mastery. And then I realized very quickly that when I started it, that I had set the bar too high without really realizing it, because it was about mastery. So it has kind of kept on drawing me to that. So that's my path,
Yeah.
Andy.
Yeah. But Aggie, I mean, you have gained a lot from it by setting that bar quite high, because it means then that you're giving yourself so much more to aspire for.
Mhm.
And by example, the persons that you work with, they would also be given that same level of encouragement and inspiration. So it all worked out pretty good for you. Yeah.
Well, there were bumps along the way, but all in all, yes, of course.
Wonderful, wonderful. So, what are some of the challenges, Aggie, that the people that you work with, when they come to you and they seek your advice, your professional services, what are some of the things that they tell you that they are struggling with, that they need you to help them, to assist them, to bring some sort of clarity as far as their challenges are concerned?
One thing that comes to mind now, the way you were asking the question, was many people's lack of belief in
Mm,
the power of their voice. And I know because I've been there. I was before 2015 that you were playing that video about
yeah,
that
yeah,
change of me. Before that time, I was very closed up, very shy, very introverted, very, I wouldn't really speak out to people because I did not trust that what I have to say is of value. So I can say it. Yes, some people might not like it or some people might not be interested, but that doesn't mean that the message is worthless. Just
yeah,
some people won't align with it. So it has taken me a long time to, understand that and learn that. But I appreciate many people are in that situation that I was as well, and that gives, there are many drawbacks when you don't feel confident that what you have to say is important.
yeah,
Maybe not universally important, and I don't mean groundbreakingly important, but important. That time you say something, so people will listen to it. And I think each of us has something very powerful inside of them to share, and most people, sadly, they never do. They don't document it, and certainly they don't, share it. And there are so many lessons and so much wisdom that could be drawn from, every single person's life. But first of all, they have to believe that there is power in that and, start expressing it. So, yeah, one thing, to answer your question, one thing that I enjoy, helping people with is this particular lack of self belief in, my voice. Who will listen to me, or who am I to speak about this, or things like that, which they are very, very common
mm,
limiting beliefs that most of us, and I'm saying us because I'm not saying that I have gotten out of it. I still carry my own beliefs, but most of us haven't. It doesn't have to be like that.
Yeah. Thanks for sharing, Aggie. In terms of the future, is there another book in the making? Is there another publication that you're looking forward to do?
Not in the making, unless we mean the conceptual making,
Uh,
the seed. There is a seed, indeed. The thing is, with this book, I want to promote it and really make sure that it does make a difference. So it's very, very early stages, so I haven't really put effort into another one yet, but I will for sure. And in a way it is easy because I already have, having the podcast, there is so many more topics to distill and pick from wisdom and share and put in a book. So the seed that I have, and I will share it with you. You are one of the, I think, the third person that I will share that with. So it's very, very new. So I'm happy to share to
I'm
share it
honored.
with you.
I'm honored. I'm honored.
It will be a book of a similar nature. So in other words, segments of
Yes.
the podcast, but all of the themes, the topics, rather than personal development, they will have more of a focused spiritual nature.
Of
So
course.
it will have a different angle. So for the moment, it's just a thought, but now actually speaking with it on a live podcast, it kind of starts to crystallize it already, I think. So good.
Wonderful. Wonderful. I love it. Thanks for sharing, Aggie. And
Hmm.
I appreciate the spiritual aspect that you want to go down to. That is so an integral part of our personal development as people. I'm looking at what is happening in the world today, and it's really sad that when we turn on the media or we go online, what we see is not very encouraging. I don't need to go into the details, but I think there's a certain level of pressure that is existing in the world today.
Mhm.
How would you advise people, Aggie, to manage themselves in the midst of all the pressure when it's just bombarding us all the time, coming from social media, the radio, the newspapers, people talking about it? How do we manage ourselves so that it does not negatively impact on our lives?
Andy, I think the most important, if you have all this coming at you from different directions, my recommendation would be to block it first of all. So you talk about newspapers and TV and stop them. I mean, unless it is something really crucial for your life and what you need to do, which
Yeah.
for most of us, we don't really need to know what's happening in every corner of the world every day in order for us to operate in our life and environment and family and business. So shut that off. It is very negative, and the easiest thing is to block yourself out from that negativity rather than once you have absorbed it and you watch the news and then you feel miserable, you feel like you're carrying the burden of the world in your shoulders, that everything is your fault. Yeah, rather than trying to deal with that, it's better if you don't have that in the first place. So Andy, I haven't watched TV in 13 years. I mean, I haven't watched, apart, from times that it was in the room where I
Yeah.
entered, but, and I really don't miss any of the negativity and the brainwashing that is happening
Yeah.
with the mainstream. It's, Yeah. So once you block that off,
Uh-huh.
immediately you are clearer. You feel, there is not that constant burden.
Yeah. Yeah, it is a burden. It really is, Aggie.
It's a
Wow.
burden, it's a shackle, if you want.
I
It's
could not
really, it
imagine.
is,
Yeah.
yeah,
It's like being in a sort of a prison that has you shackled, as you use that word. But I
yeah.
must commend you for that level of discipline, for that length of time not looking at the
It's
television. That
not discipline. I mean, I really
choice.
don't have to discipline myself. I mean, the
Ah,
idea, if you
ah,
if you told me now to sit and watch the evening news, that would be terrible for me. So I don't. So no, I don't need discipline.
all right.
Honestly,
It's a choice. It's a choice.
it is a choice. Yes.
I get it. I get it. So I'm gonna play one more thing for you.
Okay.
This is gonna be even more interesting.
Ah. Hmm.
It's our intention about manifesting miracle for the listener as well. So no pressure there. I'm just going to leave you with the parting words. Uh, First of all, thank you for this powerful question. Second, yes, pressure. Pressure is healthy. Without pressure, we die. Without the right pressure internally, our body collapses. Without the right pressure externally, our body explodes. We all want a perfect, loving, balanced amount of pressure. So thank you for a gorgeous pressure question because it creates sacred space for me to share what I'm going to share. So I'm going to remove for all of us the need to be pressured in an unbalanced way and invite the miracle of a healthy pressure that allows for a miracle of life. That's not even an insight. That's a frame for the insight. Aggie, that is so powerful. I loved it so much. I said I had to share it with you and get your feedback because we need to understand that pressure is not necessarily a bad thing. However, how do we see it? How do we understand it? How do we accept it? And how do we manage ourselves in it is very important. So just elaborate a little bit on what she was saying as you shared that question with her, Aggie.
Yeah, that was Victoria Raiders, which is extremely knowledgeable and inspiring guest. I
Yes.
had the pleasure to speak with her twice, and the pressures. I use that phrase "no pressure" there, which is kind of a humoristic way, but she took it very seriously with her answer, and pressure is necessary. And if I had to take that and give the example of growth, personal development, which is what you talk about, what I talk about, it you need to the pressure in order to grow, because otherwise when you remain in a circle, let's say your comfort zone, without the pressure, then you can't change, you can't grow. It is the pressure, and I'm thinking of it, I'm trying to visualize, and now you see me doing with my hands, like if it was a balloon, it would be the pressure from inside that would make the balloon expand or grow, or the pressure of the air or something. So it is not comfortable, the pressure, and we are in many times conditioned that we shouldn't be pressured, or we shouldn't take risks, or whatever else that pressure might relate to, because it's so many things that are pressure. uh, yeah, and for many people, and if you don't anticipate it and manage it in a certain way, it can be, of course, overwhelming, but it is necessary. I mean, without pressure, I really can't think. There is no growth. So I think that's
Yeah,
my
yeah,
one sentence answer. The pressure is necessary for growth.
yeah, yeah. Thank you for sharing, Agi. I appreciate it. It reminds me of a quotation by a Roman senator back in the days of the Caesars when they were controlling basically the world. His name is Pueblos Tacitus.
Mhm.
And he said, the desire for safety stands against every great and noble enterprise. Meaning to say, the more safe you want to be, the less you want to be involved in some level of discomfort or pressure, is the more you're taking away from your ability to achieve enterprise and to grow and to develop. So I
Mhm.
appreciate that and I understand that. And I think it's something that we need to understand more for ourselves so that we can apply it in a particular manner that it does us so much more better in terms of how we seek to accomplish things in this life.
Mhm.
So we have
Mhm.
about 3 minutes left, Aggie. I
Okay.
want to give you the opportunity now to share your information with people, how they can reach out to you, how they can make contact with you. Just promote yourself for a minute.
Okay, so thank you. So, the best place, I mean, the most natural place to go after listening to this would be to listen to my podcast, Personal Development Mastery, which you can find it wherever you're listening to your podcasts from. If you want to listen to that specific episode that Andy played about the pressure, and that's actually, I would recommend it because I have over 300 episodes, so it could be a bit difficult to where to start. So that I think it's episode 288. So if Andy, can give you the link you can
Yeah.
put there.
Yeah.
So the podcast is the best place, and I also have my book, which we talked about, 88 Actionable Insights for Life, which Andy, I'm going to offer it to your listeners for as a gift, actually. So the ebook version anyway. So if you go to agikeramidas.com/88, you can download a digital copy of the book for free, and I really hope that it can support you in your personal development journey.
Yeah. There you have it, folks. So I will give that information with regards to getting a copy of his book for free to the people, our audience and our subscribers. That definitely will go out with the publication or even before the publication of this particular episode. So in 1 minute, we have to go, Aggie. I'm going to ask you just 3 questions,
Okay.
and you have one or two choices to answer and tell me why. The first question is this. In terms of social media standing, in terms of the programs, in terms of the products, if you had to choose between Microsoft and Apple Inc., which one would it be?
Apple.
Woo, that was quick. Why Apple? And most people choose Apple. I'll tell you why.
uh, I've been using Apple for almost 15 years now. All my computers, my phone. So this is not really a choice for me. I
Yeah.
won't go to Windows. No way.
Yes, yes, it was easy. People say that Apple is so user focused and
Yeah.
user oriented that Apple get it in terms of what they want to use these devices for.
Yes.
So yeah, that makes so much sense. Thank you for sharing, Aggie. Are you a sport-minded individual?
How do you define sport-minded?
People follow the NFL, people follow
Right. Okay.
the NBA and stuff. Do
So
you follow any one of these?
if you talk about me following sports, no, I don't follow sports. I enjoy doing sports, not many sports, but one in particular is running. I enjoy running. I have run a marathon. So that term of sport, yes, but sitting down on the TV and watching hockey or rugby or football, that's not my idea
Happening.
of
All right.
sporting. No.
I get it. I get it. Finally, would you prefer AI by itself or a combination of AI and your own creativity?
Yeah, I like the version that my creativity has something to do with it, rather than the other version that I have nothing to do with it. So I
Right,
will I
right.
will pick the second answer.
All right, great. Thank you so much, Agi. You have been an amazing and wonderful guest. A lot of insights that you have shared with us and some of your personal passion. We appreciate it so much. So, folks, remember our watchwords are health, happiness, and prosperity. And we thank Agi Keramidas for being with us and sharing his wonderful information. Remember to check his website and to look at the information with regards to how you can get that free copy of his book. That is going to be put into the chat part of the episode when it is released, or even before it is released with regards to his publication. So, on behalf of Andy's personal development, this is Andy together with my guest Agi, saying thank you so much for being with us. Have a wonderful rest of your day and continue to seek to develop yourselves as individuals to get to that better place. So long for now. Bye. Godspeed. God bless. Take care. Until next time.